Joining us now down here in Orlando, Florida is the Executive Vice President of the Nebraska Cattlemen Association, Laura Field. Laura, good to see you.
Good morning, Bryce. Good to see you.
Let's talk about some of the activities from the Nebraska perspective down here as part of the NCBA policy discussions. Big picture, what's happening?
Yeah, this is such an important meeting for cattle producers across the country. It's a great time to come together, meet up with people that you know, really see the people from your own state come together and talk about policy and things that are important. We'll spend the next couple days in all the policy committees hearing about the important agendas for all those committees and where they're going to go and what we can do to help keep cattle production profitable and working well with as few hurdles as possible. So we're starting off this morning with an issues update from the DC office, and so I'm excited to hear what they've got going on. And then we'll jump right into policy meetings this afternoon and start talking about the key issues.
Nebraska has a big seat at the table in terms of leadership. You've got several members that are chairing some of the committees, right?
Yeah, we do. We've got 4 of the committees that have Nebraska leadership on them. Jacqueline Wilson's with the International Trade Committee. Ken Hers is with Animal and Food Policy. Mike Drennan with Live Cattle Marketing. And then Barb Cooksley's on the Property Rights, Environmental Management. And probably, seeing that leadership in those committees is such a good thing for us to have. We always know what's going on. They're good at giving us information and they engage us in there. And we're also really excited and honored this year to see Buck Wehrbein be going up the leadership chain, and he'll be the new president after convention. So it's going to be a good year for Nebraska.
So NCBA touts grassroots advocacy efforts and policy. I want to learn how that works exactly, but I suppose that starts within the Nebraska Cattlemen structure and works its way here. So talk about how you all vote on things here at the national level and how that begins locally back in Nebraska.
Yeah, it all starts at home. We have our annual convention every December, and that's where our membership, the voting on the policy is open to all the membership. So we have our own policy committees. We've got 6 at Nebraska Cattlemen. Those committees will sort through the issues under their headlines, and then they'll pass those issues out to the full membership. Once that policy is adopted, that's what we live by to come here. So when we get to NCBA and there's a policy resolution that comes forward here, we fall back on what our policy says in Nebraska. So sometimes we agree with it, sometimes we don't. We bring it forward if there's a chance to change it. I think it's the most important part of the grassroots process is that people sometimes think the dissension is bad, but unless you're here and you're able to express those opinions or you're bringing those opinions for your state, nothing's really going to get done. So it's a time to come and find common ground, but also to disagree and stand up for what you think. And so that process starts for us at home. We get here and then we're able to be nimble. And we also have the ability, our board has the ability at any point at a board meeting to adopt interim policy. So if there's something we know is a big issue, we'll put some policy in place for that. It still has to be ratified by the full membership. But I look forward to it because I think the discussion is so healthy, and agree or disagree, it's just so important to have it. There's going to be things we don't get along on, and there's things that we do, and we've got to work forward for the greater good.
Talk about how Nebraska fits into the broad structure. Size-wise, how do we compete and stack up next to our neighbors?
We are an important part of the NCBA picture. We're the 4th largest of the state affiliates here. And we say this with a smile, but it's really true. Nebraska is really a little mini NCBA. We are one of the few state associations that represent all sectors of the industry. So we go across from cow-calf to feedlot, stockers, backgrounders. We've got them all in the membership. And so we see quite a diversity of thought in our membership. And so when we have issues, often when we hammer those out at home, it makes it easy to come here and navigate them because you get here and you see a state that's heavy cow-calf or a state that's heavy feedlot, and we've kind of already had it in our membership. So we're an important piece of the puzzle. Our voice really matters here. People care about what we think. And so I take that responsibility really seriously to come here and interact and do a good job on behalf of the members.
On the policy front, any particular issues that are going to be discussed this week that you think Nebraska producers should know about? Yeah,
there's been a lot of talk, people have probably seen, on the notion of electronic identification and disease traceability. It's something that Nebraska Cattlemen has been talking about for over 20 years. I keep saying 20 years, but really it's been on our policy books for a long time. We've always supported animal identification for disease traceability purposes. There's some movement on some rulemaking happening in DC, and one of the things that's important in that discussion is us being able to work with our congressional delegation to make sure that those programs are funded so that the costs don't fall totally back on the producers. I think that issue is going to get a lot of discussion while we're here. I know there are some policies out there with some of the federal disaster programs, which is a huge thing for Nebraska, especially with the winter weather we've had. We had heat this summer, so there's some discussion on some of the risk management programs and those type of things that are going to come up in committee. So, and then I'm always surprised because something will come up that I wasn't planning for. So I'm looking forward to those. But I think those are really a couple of issues that are ones that we're tuned into really close.
Yeah. Well, what else do you want to share that I haven't had the chance to ask you about yet?
Yeah, this is just a good week for us to find out what people are talking about, to be here. So I look forward to seeing members. This is a place too where I really drive home the message of how much membership matters. As I run into people and talk to them about why it's important to be a member of Nebraska Cattlemen, it's because of things like this, because if we don't know what people are wanting and expecting, it's hard for us to come advocate for that. So this is a time for people to really get involved and be engaged. And so I look forward to getting to see a lot of the people here that I don't get to see every day. And we'll have people in every committee listening and voting on things, and we'll be there on Friday to adopt the final decisions that come out of the committee. So we're looking forward to that.
Well, thanks for your time down here in Florida, Laura. We appreciate it. That is Laura Field, Executive Vice President of the Nebraska Cattlemen, joining us here at the 2024 Cattle Industry Convention.